1,000-pound sisters, here we go. It's been a minute. Just saying, I am getting sick again, I think, which is crazy because, no, I've been sick so much this year. It's going around. I'm hoping I'm wrong because I was just sick in November and into December as well. And my whole family was sick, or sick again. And I'm getting like this sore throat thing going on. Allergies this time, which I do suffer from allergies quite a bit. And as long as I take, like Allegra or something, pretty good. But sometimes it's just annoying and it really interferes with me just talking or doing anything I need to do involving, anything. Because like when you get a sneezing fit with your allergies, it's crazy. You're just all over the place. But anyway, I don't want to ramble too much. I have noticed that I tend to ramble a lot, and sometimes it's just goes off into this weird direction. But no, I'm talking about this next episode of 1,000-pound sisters. It's the next to last episode. They come back from London, and it kind of wraps up the last episode because it left on this big, huge... I guess they had a blow up. Amy had a blow up with Amanda. No. Who was it? I get all these names mixed up. I'm so sorry. Yeah, there was a big blow up just with the whole family. Amy had kind of, I guess in this episode they addressed it. Chris said she was just hangry, which happened in 1,000-pound best friends too, which I also reacted to. But they had this hangry moment. You're just hungry, but you're angry. And that does happen. Happens to everyone, I'm sure. But I've noticed it's happened to me as well, where I'll be hungry and I'll just get irritated easily. It's kind of like, I don't like to talk about it too much, but that time of month for girls and stuff, you get really hungry. Not hungry. Well, yeah, it does make you hungry. It makes you moody is what I was saying. And irritable. It's like just the littlest things set you off, and it's really easy to get frustrated or angry or depressed even, and then you feel down and out. And I guess it could be like that too. I did another video where I talked about how I get depressed sometimes as well. And when you're in that depressed mood, it's like nothing, you don't want to do anything. You just feel, how do I describe it? I guess because your motivation is down. It's like different moods really help your successes in life. So as far as like weight loss, if I'm like feeling down all the time, I'm not going to want to get up out of bed. I'm not going to want to move. I'm not going to want to exercise. And you want to just turn to food because it's really toxic. It leads you into this mentality where you just want to eat to feel better, right? But anyway, so this blow up happened, and at the end of it, Amy did end up coming back in. Chris went after her because she stormed out. Chris went and got her. I guess he convinced her to come back in, or she might have just sort of came in on her own after him. And they just kind of moved on with it like nothing happened. And they had their meal. I mean, it was obvious something happened. It's like this elephant in the room, but they kind of just tried to push past it. And I really thought Tammy was going to be the one to blow up here, but it was Amy. She was defending her sister. She was angry. She was hungry. I don't know. It was just this thing that happened, this explosion. The waiter, I thought the waiter was funny, to be honest. He didn't really say much, but just his facial expression and everything. And he saw what happened, and they were like, "We're so sorry." And they were wondering if he was secretly, judging them because they're tourists and they're not from there. And I don't know. I think anywhere you go, there's going to be people that are dramatic, or people, I guess you could just call them tourists overall, are going to be crazy and disrespectful. And, there's always some people like that wherever you go. It's not just based on a certain type of person, right? Or people. But anyways, they kind of conclude that really fast, and they just move on. And they go back home. So Amy's obviously really excited to go back home. She misses her kids, which I would totally miss my kids as well. I said in the last one that I would miss my kids after like a couple hours, much less a couple days. Like I can't even I've never really been away from my kids more than a day, now that I think about it. And I don't really have the desire to. You know, a lot of people say they want to have their little kid-free vacations or they need a break. But I think as long you can all go together on vacation and have your me time, it's just tough to be away from them, you know. They drive you crazy, and, you know, family in general drives you crazy a lot of the times. But being away from them can also be just as painful. But anyways, so they go back home. Everything's going good. The main gist of this episode is that they're going back to do the skin surgery for Chris. He got approved for one. He's nervous about that. And also Tammy is going to go meet with a team of doctors to see if she can get her skin removal, because in the last one, the doctor told her he was worried that it would be too long for her to be on the operating table, because it would, for one doctor or even, you know, two doctors, it would take them hours. And Chris was literally telling Tammy this, that for that one doctor to get everything done that needs to be done, it's going to take 12 to 15 hours. They don't like to have patients on the table more than 8 hours. And okay, 8 hours is a long time to be on an operating table. I don't care how fit you are or who you are. That is such a long time. That's like a work shift. It's like a full day, you know, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or something. That's such a long time. So I can't even imagine that, you know, and the stress on your body would be enormous. Even for the most fit person, the stress, cutting open your body, sewing it back up, being on the operating table in one position all that time, it just sounds painful and stressful. So I can see why they're referring her out. Tammy is a bit of a special case, of course, because she's had lung problems in the past. She had a trach in her neck, and the whole last season was basically she had a trach, you know, and she couldn't breathe on her own. And she had to be in a facility to monitor her and make sure, you know, she didn't crash or anything, right? So it really makes sense that they're being extra careful, you know, for liability and just for her protection, you know, overall, and her health, right? Because just one little slip up during an operation can really go south fast, right? So that's just scary, in my opinion. So I'm glad that they are taking the precautions and really being careful with this, as frustrating as it is to Tammy. So yeah, but I really liked the moment in London before they left, where they all just had this family picture together, and Misty told Tammy that she was proud of her, and they all kind of congratulated her on just how far she's come. Amanda, and it was kind of crazy because it made you realize they were actually getting along quite well on this trip. And Amanda was like, I was expecting some big blow-up moment, but it never really happened. And they had this great big family moment. It was great. They all congratulated her. There was no blow-ups. It was a great vacation. And I guess when you're on vacation with your family, everyone does tend to try to be on their best behavior. So that makes you worry about when they go home, because, you know, old habits will come out again, right? And Amy and Tammy both have issues with blow-ups and resolving their feelings and their emotions, so I'm hoping things go well for them. But, you know, track records show differently, right? But when they do get back home, Chris arranges, or I don't know if it was Chris who did, but someone arranged it, where they go to do like karate. And Tammy did mention that Chris wants her to learn how to defend herself. I guess because she's moving into the yellow house by herself. He got this idea that she needs to defend herself, but she did kind of live on her own for a while with no problems, right? But I think the thing where her house got robbed, her past place that she lived got robbed, that would make me nervous too. And maybe Chris was thinking, you know, it's going to be a good idea if she can defend herself. But so they all go and do this class, this karate class, and it's entertaining. It's very entertaining. I loved it. And it is good to defend yourself, to be honest. But Tammy makes this comment that she doesn't think Amy, she thinks maybe it's not a good idea that Amy's learning all of this, because she's just going to come and use it on them. That was great. I loved how when they do this part where they like pop the dummy's ears, and Chris does it really hard. He's really into it. You can tell he's putting all his effort in. And then the girls come and they kind of just tap the ears. So they're kind of holding back. But, you know, Amy brings it. She gets very into it as well, just like Chris. They're shooting their shot, and it was just a great, wholesome moment as well. And I just really love those moments, even though they do feel a little scripted, but they are funny. And I love the dynamic of the family and how they interact with each other. But the main gist of the episode, like I said, is the skin surgery. Chris helps Tammy move to her house first. They move all her stuff. They do a like before and after thing, which you don't know how much work Chris put into that house. Like, it's amazing. I don't know if he did it by himself. They kind of hint that it's him doing it by himself. That's why it took so long. But all that work, it's like, he had to have had some kind of help, right? There was so much work done. Like, all that weird carpet is gone. The lawnmower is gone. They put in, I don't know if there was flooring underneath or they put in new flooring, but it looks like new flooring. It looks livable now, and they have couches and furniture, and the kitchen still needs a little work, but it looks way better. It's livable, like Chris says, it's livable. And he says, you know, it's not like fit for a queen, but it's good for you. You're the queen of this house. This is your house. It's for her. And it's really sweet that he went to all this effort for her. And, you know, it's so much work, and it just shows how good of a person he looks. Of course, we don't know their lives, their personal lives. We don't know everything about them, but from the outside, it's just such a sweet gesture that he did to help her, right? And yeah, it just makes me like him more and more. I like all the family, okay? But, you know, little things like this just, you know, make them stand out, right? But anyway, so Chris, after this, goes to do his skin surgery, and it's a bit dramatic because it takes a long time. And it was kind of the same thing as with Vanessa, because they told the family members a certain time, like 3 to 4 hours, right? But then the surgery ends up being longer than that, and it ends up being 5 hours. And so his wife is sitting there freaking out. She has her little grandchildren with her for a while, but they get tired and they leave. After a while, it's just them sitting there waiting, and it's quiet. And you know, in that situation, your nerves start to go up, you get nervous, and I relate to that because I can't imagine my family member, someone you're really close to, your spouse, for instance, and you know, I've had experience with that where they were in a surgery and you're waiting, and I only had to wait like maybe 2 hours max. I can't imagine 5 hours, especially when you think it's 3 to 4 hours only, and it's like an extra hour, or we don't even know, it might have been over 5 hours. But I think what it was, the doctor later explained that they decided to take their time. There was a lot of skin, and they wanted to take their time, make sure everything was done correctly, and they said they removed 4 feet of skin, which that's not a small amount, okay? So they took their time. It took a while, and I'm sure Chris was still under the effects of the anesthesia, and it took a while for him to come out of it, so they had to wait, monitor him. With most patients after surgery, you gotta wait and monitor them and have them in a little recovery bed area, just watch them, make sure everything's okay. And once they start to wake up a bit and are looking okay, that's when they'll go tell the family and bring them in and see their family again, right? So they go and they get his wife and Amanda, and they bring them in and they talk to him, and eventually they move him to his room as well. They did end up showing Chris a picture. It was on his phone. They didn't like have it on the wall like Vanessa's, but they showed it on his phone, and it was a big chunk of skin, okay? It was 4 feet, like the doctor said, and I won't show it too long, but it was kind of impressively big, you know, it was a lot of skin. They didn't tell the exact weight of it. If they did, I missed it. they did with Vanessa's, but I am curious to know how heavy it was. Maybe I could look it up or something. But anyways, I want to move on and keep this short. Tammy also goes to her skin session. I really hope Chris, by the way, recovers quickly and well and efficiently. But yeah, so Tammy goes on a plane with Amy and them. Amy's not happy about the plane, but, you know, she's supporting her sister. They go on a plane to, is it Philadelphia? Well, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But they go on a plane over there to meet with this team of doctors. And they need a team for Tammy, like I said before, that I was talking about. Because her situation is sensitive. Because of her medical history and, you know, the amount of weight she's lost is impressively large. And Amy was even commenting that Tammy just has like this full-sized baby or child in her lap all the time. It's just that much skin laying against the legs. Oh, by the way, I'm not going to talk too much about it, but there was a little scene where Amy gets her photos done because she wants to go on Tinder or to start dating again, and she does like this sexy photo shoot. That was really cute. And she wore her like special, I guess they're booty shorts, but kind of underwear too, and they took a picture of it. I thought it was hilarious. It was great. I really thought she looked great in her photos. She has all this confidence now, and I'm loving it. She looks amazing. The photographer is there, and it's the same photographer, I think, from the last time. There's a girl there to make her feel comfortable. And she just looks really good. And I'm loving it for Amy. So, little side note on that. Also, another side note, Tammy mentions she wants to start dating again. And good for her. Good for Tammy. I know she dated Caleb. You know, I cried. I cried when Caleb passed away. So, there's that. I did like Caleb, but he did have severe food addiction issue, and, you know, rest in peace and all the respect to him. So yeah, I do think Tammy and Amy both deserve to move on with their love lives. A lot of people think you should just, after a divorce or a passing, you should just be stagnant for a while and in mourning for a long time. But I think they should definitely jump into dating. If they're not ready, they shouldn't, of course, but they say they're ready, they're up to it. Why not, if it's going to bring happiness in your life? But you don't want to, especially Tammy in the past seasons, she's had people come into her life that have messed with her journey. So that's the only thing I'm worried about for her, is that someone's going to hold her back from reaching her goal. But Caleb did not hold her back. So in a way, she has improved compared to previous people she's dated. So moving on to the end of the episode, Tammy goes to meet with these doctors, and it is a whole team. It's like 4 to 5, 6 people walked in the room and introduced themselves, and Amy's just like, how many people is this? She's like, it's 20 people. They all introduce themselves to her. I think 2 of them stay behind to talk to her. They interview Tammy. After talking with her, they do tell her they think it would be good to plan a surgery for her. They basically are telling her they're approving her. They do tell her that they can't do everything at once, which is what Tammy wants and what anyone would want in that situation. But they tell her that's just impossible. It's going to take way too long. It's going to be too complicated. It's going to be too much stress on the body as well, because Tammy has skin everywhere. At least that's what Tammy says. They do not let you see the operating room. They do not let you see the room when she changes to her gown again and look at her skin like other patients. No, they keep her private, and I really respect that for her. Good on her. Keep your privacy, right? So they take a look at her, and they tell her, because she has so much skin, they can't do it all at once. She's got skin on her neck, her arms, her stomach, her chest, her legs, everywhere, basically. She says she wants everything off at once, but they tell her she cannot do that. So they say they want to plan the surgery. They think it's definitely possible. Then comes the shift where, but the big but, but there are some conditions, the medical side of it, which is what happened with Vanessa as well. They told her they can do it, but they had to run tests and make sure she's medically able. So this came to a little bit of a frustrating point for Tammy because she had to admit that, and I don't know about this, why wouldn't they pre-screen this ahead of time? I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. But she does admit that she has been vaping, and that's a big, big deal because vaping nicotine, it's essentially like smoking cigarettes, not good for your lungs. You need good lung health during the surgery, and they said it can mess with the recovery and keep their wounds from healing. I haven't heard of that before, but I'm sure, they're experts, right? So this was a big, big deal, and they said that this is definitely they're gonna have to get her off of the vaping for a while before they can proceed, and they said they have to wait 2 months. So Tammy just looks absolutely pissed off at that point. And there was also the issue that she's not getting enough protein, and, but that's separate. This was just kind of the big one that kind of sealed the deal that it's going to take a little longer than she had thought. And the end of the episode concludes there, and she's just completely pissed in her little interview room. She walks away. She says she needs a minute. She just walks away, and they hint these sound effects that she's lighting up a vape. I don't know if that's what she actually did or she just went to take a breather, because it's a lot to go through the moment and all the emotions and processing. And I was a little bummed out about that because I was excited too. I was excited with her that they were going to do a surgery. I really want the best for her, and it's like an emotional roller coaster. You get excited and then they just hit you with this and it pulls you back down again. So if I'm feeling that, someone hundreds of miles away from her, if I'm feeling that, I can't imagine how she felt, in her situation, in her moment. This is her life, her journey, As much as we see that it's a TV show, this is their actual lives as well. I'm sure they probably cover things up, or not cover things up, keep things private, because it's their life, right? They keep things out of it. They keep things dialed down maybe, but this is their life that they're living. And, she must have felt so down. So I understand her side of it, right? And I felt for her, and I really hope the best for her. I hope in the future that she does, quit this vaping and she gets her surgery just like Chris. And by the way, they had a little scene of Chris leaving in the car, and he looks fantastic. You could tell there's a lot of skin gone, and the doctor said that he's going to have a new belly button and it's going to look even better. But yeah, so that's it for this episode. My throat is doing weird things. So have a good, happy, motivating day. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.